Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the June 10th meeting of the Smithfield Planning Commission to order. If you would rise and join me for pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a very full agenda tonight, so let's get at it. Ms. Clary, do you have the director's report, please?
Yes, thank you. In light of the long agenda, we'd just like to ask the planning commissioners to start thinking about how they'd like to view recreational vehicle parking in town. If they'd want to be able to see them from the streets, or if you'd want them completely in an enclosed structure and covered, you can feel free to email me your thoughts and concerns. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And this is throughout town, not just the historical district, right?
Correct.
All right, next up, upcoming meetings and activities. Tuesday, Board of Historical and Architectural Review meeting. I understand that has been canceled? Yes? So you can free up your schedules. The Board of Zoning Appeals in the same evening is also canceled. Monday the 23rd is Town Council Committee meetings. Tuesday, July 1st is Town Council meeting. And our next Planning Commission meeting is July the 8th. Next item is public comments. The public is invited to speak to Planning Commission on any matters except public hearings. Please use the sign-up sheet. Your comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Any responses from the town will be provided in writing following the meeting. Do we have anyone signed up? Okay, moving right along. Planning Commission comments. Any comments from Planning Commissioners?
We got a long agenda.
Got a long agenda. Let's hit it. Okay. Item number 5, public hearing. 2 SUPs, The Grange, 10 Main, LSMP LLC. Care of Joe Luter is the applicant. Ms. Clary, we have a staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is proposing to construct not more than 119 total units. This would be a reduction of at least 148 units. There'll be 33 single-family dwellings, 35 cottages, 10 estates, and 37 townhouses. The applicant would like the flexibility to replace the townhomes with cottage units during final site plan, provided the total number again does not exceed 119 units. This project also includes the Smithfield Market, which will host a restaurant retail space, 30 stalls, and a 3-story hotel not to exceed 42 feet in height, 6,000 square feet building featuring office and retail space, and overall there will be 270 parking spaces provided. It will be accessed via 5 entrances. This applicant is applying for a special use permit. This would be for a waiver of yard requirements. This would be for a 10-foot front yard, a 5-foot side yard, a 10-foot rear yard, and a 2.5-foot accessory structure setback. The second special use permit is for a waiver of maximum building height. This is for the townhomes not to exceed 40 feet in height. Following the staff report is a memo from Isle of Wight County Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clary. This is a public hearing this evening, so I will open public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? First speaker is John Edwards. Mr. Edwards, if you would come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Madam Chairman, members of the Commission, Historic Smithfield expressed concern, as did others, over the potential impact of the original Grange proposal on traffic in the Grayson-Carey Street corridor of the historic district. Mr. Luter has clearly worked diligently to address those and other concerns with the reduced numbers, and has returned with a proposal that has more than erased our concerns, and the Historic Smithfield Board of Directors wishes to wholeheartedly endorse the project as is now envisioned. We feel the revised project will be a welcome addition to the Historic District and will greatly enhance the community's business vitality while being fully compatible with the district's history. If I may speak personally for a moment, I had the privilege of working with Mr. Luter's father more than 30 years ago on the first major Luter community project in Smithfield, the rehabilitation of Main Street. The work that was done then by Joe Luter III, the town, and historic Smithfield created one of Virginia's finest downtown streetscapes. What Joe Luter IV has brought to you now is in the best tradition of the contributions made by the Luter family over the years. It continues the family's longstanding commitment to excellence in whatever it undertakes in the town that we all love. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Our next speaker is Sabrina Dooley. Ms. Dooley, would you come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Dooley, 1306 Rivers Arch in Carrollton. I am the Smithfield Farmers Market Manager, and for the future of the Smithfield Farmers Market and its vendors to succeed, we desire a permanent home. Our lease, as you may have read, ends this December. Our market vendors are persistently at the mercy of Mother Nature, as weather constantly disrupts our set market schedule on Saturday mornings. Without a permanent structure, our vendors face a multitude of weather obstacles such as precipitation, which can damage their product and deter customers from coming out, wind, a dangerous factor where we currently sit in a wind tunnel, heat, a dangerous factor where this year we have started to have last year we had cases of heat exhaustion from both customers and vendors, and of course the cold. Just 2 weeks ago, as well as back in April, we had unexpected high gusts come through our market, and it lifted our tents that had various amounts of weights. We always tell our vendors, at least 20 pounds per weight. If they do not have it, we provide it. It lifted the weights into the public, threatening the public safety. My team and I were quick to respond, but so were the citizens and visitors that were right there in front of the flying tents. So we do thank the citizens and the visitors who helped our team. As our vendors strive to earn their living every weekend, weather is truly our biggest obstacle, as our top priority is the safety of vendors and the public. We prioritize the time and effort our vendors put into their business, not only on Saturdays, the day of the market, but also the week leading up to the market. With a forecast of bad weather, we very strongly consider the time, the effort, and the money that the vendors put into their preparation, especially the farmers and the food vendors, where their food can go to waste. In this day and age, it's not cheap. The market is also in need of more electrical and water hookups. We have very limited access at our current location to satisfy vendor demands. Electricity and water hookups are essential for some vendors. These necessary utilities aid running registers, keeping food at health department temperatures, and using water for health department practices, or even keeping flowers from wilting on a very hot day. Our market has been operating since 2002 and has been an award-winning market for years, but to truly thrive and to prosper, we require the necessary updates to accommodate our vendors, customers, and the community. A permanent structure would allow our market to flourish and support our small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dooley. I will officially close the public hearing. Is there the applicant or representative to speak on this application?
So I'm reading a statement from Joe
If you would
Luter.
state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Sir, my name is Tip Brown. I live at 208A 58th Street, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And so I'm speaking on Joe's behalf. This is a letter written from Joe, who's on with Teams, but we didn't know if we had that capability, so I'm going to go ahead and read his statement. Good evening. I'm sorry that I could not be in Smithfield tonight, but I wanted to share my rationale behind our amended proposed plan for the Grange. From the beginning, we wanted this project to be supported by the majority of people in Smithfield. In November, they spoke with their votes, and they wanted to see slower, more contained growth. We heard them. This, along with ever-changing market dynamics, was the impetus for the revised plan. The revised plan still provides important and needed amenities for Smithfield Foods, Riverside Hospital, and the citizens of the town and the county. These amenities include 1, a permanent home for the farmers market, which is even more important today than it was 12 months ago because of the lease expiration with the bank. 2, 4 varieties of housing options, both for rent and for purchase. 3, a new hotel with up to 104 rooms. 4, significant green space around the farmers market to be used and enjoyed by everyone. And 5, 10,500 square feet of additional commercial space. The revised plan also includes approximately 16 acres of land to be donated to the town for future use, however they see fit. The value of this land exceeds $2.5 million and should more than offset concerns about the town's $1.4 million contribution to the farmers market. The Grange will also provide a significant improvement to the western entrance to downtown Smithfield and should be of benefit to all businesses in downtown with additional citizens within walking distance. We take into account the Main Street Route 10 intersection improvement project. It's also important to note that this project was never intended to maximize density and profits, and the economics of building market rate apartments has shifted. Higher construction costs and higher borrowing costs have flipped the risk-reward for larger apartment projects, and we feel more comfortable with the revised plan. Above and beyond the donated land, the economic benefits to the town remain meaningful, with $6.5 million net to the town over a 10-year period, and the town's benefit-to-cost ratio is 8 to 1 per Ted Vigura Consulting. Our team is available to answer questions, and we would appreciate your vote and your support tonight. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman, Vice Chair. My name is Melissa Venable. I'm the President of Land Planning Solutions, located at 5857 Harborview Boulevard in Suffolk. Can I use this? Sure. I know you have a big schedule, so I'm gonna make this as short and sweet as possible. I don't need to do a big presentation. You are familiar with the project. You are familiar with the details and the reductions that we're making. The approved plan is on the board or on the screen behind you. Just as a quick reminder, 267 units, a large multifamily portion of the project to the lower southern piece. And we've modified this plan significantly to now have in total, this shows 115 units, and we noted a small section of the cottage homes that could potentially be replaced if the market wasn't there to support the cottages. So at most, those would be replaced with townhomes. So at most, 119 units on this plan. That's a reduction of 55% in the residential units, a small reduction in the commercial product. I think what's important to note here is that we have 4 different product types being represented and offered in this newer project or this reduction. We have these larger estate, we have the larger estate lots that would be along the rear portion or the adjacent to the dedicated 16 acres. We have a similar product or the same product that we were originally proposing as the single family homes that are 60 feet wide. We were asked, when we were going through this process, we were asked to look at the idea of a cottage home, which is a small single-family house. It reminds me of kind of that tiny home concept, but not quite the tiny home. And I want to get back to that. I think it's an important one because that's a great product. It's an affordable product. It allows people to enter into this market with a small house and then have the ability to maybe do a detached garage or a small shed in the back. And some of those details we need to talk about in a second. And then a townhome product, again, a fairly affordable product, rear-loaded, alley-loaded, so the garages are in the back of that, and they sit in the center of the property. All of this is still a walkable community. We still have the large green area adjacent to the market, so we have the ability to have some of those outdoor stalls, but most importantly, we now have 30 indoor stalls, where previously we had 24. We still have the restaurant component that flanks the end of the market, and then we still have some commercial up front, but you can see we've pulled that back, Dr. Pope, so that we have that really great visibility to the center market area. The hotel footprint increased a little bit because we did reduce some of the, I want to use this as a pointer, but I don't think I can. Well, I think, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to just end up flipping slides. So we reduced some of the smaller office areas, and we've increased the hotel size a bit. We previously had that boutique size at 70, and this is slightly larger at 104 hotel rooms at most. Still, again, very walkable. We have an open space plan that we can show. The special use permits that we're looking at, there's only 2 in addition. As you noted, as Tammy noted, the hotel already had a special use permit for 42 feet. We're going to hold that, and then we're asking for the townhome units to be no more than 40 feet in height, so they would be shorter than the hotels, but we probably will need that 2.5-story to potentially 3-story, but at max 40 feet. One thing that I think is in question, or maybe raised an eyebrow, is this cottage unit. To be able to get that cottage lot and the cottage unit to work, again, you have to kind of keep in mind that tiny home feel. We have one side yard at a minimum of 5 feet, but then the other side would be a minimum of 11 feet. So the very smallest side yard on that cottage would be 5 feet, but it would be adjacent to an 11-foot side yard. That is the smallest side yard setback that we have, and it, again, is only for the cottage lot. And I think we included some product. Not only we have the townhome product here, examples of that, as well as the cottage homes. And I think these are just going to be a fantastic addition to this project. So I'll stand by for any additional questions that you might have. Otherwise, I think a lot of the details are the same. But last thing to note, and I think important to note, is all the off-site improvements for traffic are the same, even though we have a 43% reduction in traffic. So I think that is helpful, and I hope eases concerns that we previously heard. And I'll stand by. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Venable. Planning Commission, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I do.
Dr. Pope?
Are you still using Airbnb cottages? There were 5 cottages approved originally, but I don't see them on this plan.
Yeah, we don't have them. We don't have them because as we progress through this, you know, depending on the number of cottage units we build and the townhouse units, we don't have them marked on the plan. But we haven't removed that special use permit. We are still allowing ourselves to have 5 Airbnb. I don't want to call them Airbnb because that's a brand, but 5 short-term rentals.
Another question, with the right end to the hotel parking lot, is that absolutely necessary? Is that a VDOT requirement? Because to me, that just seems unused coming from the town. I don't think people are going to access that parking lot from the right turn. I'd like to just see that disappear to keep the streetscape straight, you know, without a break, and just use Grange Avenue, but I didn't know if that's amenable to disappear or not.
So it is not VDOT requested, it is VDOT approved. We asked them about it. So, and the reason why we'd like to keep it, Dr. Pope, is if you miss that entry, if you're heading south on Main Street and you miss the Grange Street entrance, but you're going to the hotel or you want to go to the museum, there's not really another opportunity to turn into that property easily. So that driveway, and it's just a small driveway in, allows you, you know, if you're a visitor to the area and you don't know the area well and you miss that Grange Street entrance, it allows that small driveway to come in to that hotel. So it's really a convenience thing, and it's also to help attract the right hotel to this site.
Okay.
Because there's going to be a lot of other requirements of that hotelier to meet the architectural standards and to do a lot of other things that we think that's just kind of it's a help to allow them to come to the area, if that makes sense. Kind of gives them an extra driveway.
And then on your sideline setback on the townhomes at
The 7 feet.
7 feet, is there no other wiggle room? Are you trying to keep, when you're looking up there, are you trying to keep 7 feet between that because you got to keep 15 feet between that and the road? I'm just asking, is there any way to maximize that space in there, or at least try to get it as close to 10 feet as possible?
So as we look at a final design, you know, we can try to, these are all minimums, as you know, right? We can look at trying to maximize that. We still have the right-of-way width. So from the right-of-way to the street, we have an additional 12 feet. So from, you know, 7 feet on top of the right-of-way distance, which has your sidewalk and verge in it. It's, all those items together are 19 to 20 feet from the actual roadway, because it is a public road. We are trying to allow ourselves some wiggle room, but between the units, we have that 14 feet.
Okay. And then for the cottages, you're going to allow detached garages. I would love to see you just build them at the same time you build the house for consistency and aesthetics, as opposed to people buying portable units, bringing them in, dropping them down. I would rather see you, I don't think you have that many cottage units, but I'm wondering if it's possible to build garages with every single one in order for consistency and aesthetics.
So I think that, and I understand what you're saying, I think that makes sense. The reason why we were leaving it as an option for a buyer is, again, to try to keep costs. You know, everything's so expensive right now. We're trying to keep the costs down. So all the folks that we've talked about over the years, that we want to allow them to stay here in the city, the firefighters and the teachers and things, if that helps keep the cost and the mortgage to a point where they can afford it, then the shed, in our mind, the shed or the one-car detached garage could come later, at a later date. But I understand what you're saying as well. Though I will say, because this falls within the historic district, won't everyone have to come back through architectural review? Whether,
Well, it would be nice for them to know up front that we would really love it to match the house and to have sort
Oh,
of a,
sure.
even
I think
if you
that-
don't do it, have it as a set plan that there's some repetitiveness with.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. So
At least to
within,
me, it does.
within our homeowners association guidelines, we would have to specify that any detached structure would have to match. I think that's absolutely reasonable, yeah. Anything else?
I have a few questions. My first one is for Tammy regarding the SUP. I noted that we were talking about two, but then on the SUP application, I noticed there were three on there. So what will we be voting for tonight, 2 or 3?
It's just the two applications for the waiver of yard and the waiver of height for the townhomes. The hotel was already approved at 42 feet for that special use permit.
Yeah, it's on here for waiver of accessory building setbacks. Is
So-
that,
That's included in the waiver of yard requirements.
okay, all righty. And I just had a question about the process. So they requested a waiver for 39 feet. It looks like it was changed on May 12th. Does that present any concerns with our public notice requirements that it changed?
No, sir.
Okay. And then, even though you have 3 or multiple special use permits on one application, is there a fee for each one?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you. Ms. Venwell, for SUP number 1, your numbers are very different from our zoning requirements. Matter if I can come back to it, so many documents here. So 35 feet to 14 feet and 35 feet to 10 feet is what I see here.
So they're already approved setbacks is what you're talking about, and I don't know that you were part of the planning commission when we first went through this, but we talked about this quite a bit. The PUD that's in place was very specific in the language that everything with a PUD would have to come back to you and ask for exceptions. And these setbacks were very much, and we presented this last time, we're not presenting it again now, they're already approved and they're very much in line with what you see in downtown today. So the downtown zoning you have front yards that are very short, you have driveways that drive past the house and the parking's in the rear to the side of the home. So these setbacks are in keeping with what you see downtown and not a new ordinance regulation.
Perhaps. When you walk by the homes in downtown, yes, there's a variety, there's variation, some with many very large yards, some with a small front yard but a large backyard, or vice
Right.
versa. You know, in the scenario that you're describing here, that I'm seeing previously on the screen, and from the layout that you have on this drawing on the screen now, it looks like you intend to, across the board, have the homes be very close together. Is that correct?
Yeah, to be able to provide the 16 acres in the rear and the number of units and the amount of open space, the yard requirements are small, but the amount of open space that surrounds, that would be upkept by a homeowners association is pretty tremendous.
Are you counting the 16 acres as open space?
No, sir.
Okay. Um, why is the reason that we should approve that special use permit for the town?
So the setbacks that you noted have already been approved, the front yards and most of the side yards. The additional setbacks that we're asking for tonight is specifically for that cottage unit, which was, and I wasn't privy to the conversations, but that was a recommendation by the town asking us to incorporate a cottage unit. So to be able to incorporate that small house and that small footprint, we're asking for the 5 feet there. And then the townhouse is a new product that we didn't have previously. Again, that was something that was requested of us to try to incorporate, to hit an affordability product. And so that also has a smaller side yard setback. And then the detached garage or potentially shed, your requirements for that are 5-foot setbacks, and we're asking for something smaller on that, again, because that cottage lot is a very small lot. And I hate to repeat myself, but again, we're trying to hit that affordability for that product.
But you could also build fewer houses.
Not really, not with the costs that are, and the
They
offsite
are, in case you
improvements.
haven't noticed.
Yeah, we're, as you noted, the approved plan, this is 55% reduction, so.
And I recall the cottages being brought up, and I'm actually a greater fan of those than the townhomes. I've been contacted by a few people about the lack of support for the townhomes, and specifically, I think one of the problems is the height. Another problem is the closeness of 4 units by 4 units. I happen to live in one of the few townhomes in town. And we have large green space set-asides on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And originally that waterfront area was going to be developed in a similar fashion with much more townhomes, with a large green space in between that exceeds 35 feet.
So are you talking about Wharfs Hill down at the?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful, and I think, what we've proposed is very similar.
I wouldn't call that a large amount of green space in comparison.
Compared to what you see between, say, the 3 sets of 4 on
No,
that.
the overall project.
So compared to what you see between the 3 groups of 4, if that's
Groups of 4.
5 feet or 10 feet, that's going to be 20 feet in between.
So, right. But this also has that green space. If we go back to the plan, there's a green space area at the fronts, and these are all alley-loaded product, where I believe where you live, that's a front-loaded unit, if I remember correctly. So these will have really great-looking fronts, and they'll all be very walkable streets. So different product, but I think articulate similarly with materials and things. And the nice thing is they're only 30, I think we're proposing, 37 in total. So there's not very many of them.
Yeah, that was my next question. So you're proposing the cottages but leaving it open-ended. So can you close the gap on that? I don't think that would be very fair for us to approve it in the future with, you say that it's asked for cottages and then
Well, we're not
put them in
saying all, we're
conditionally.
just saying one of the 2 strips, if the cottages didn't sell well, that there's some flexibility on, I believe it's the strip furthest to the north. If they weren't selling well, they didn't do well, then they could be replaced with the townhomes instead of the cottages. So it just gives us some flexibility to respond to the market. I don't think that's not fair. We're showing you the product.
Perhaps. I mean, it was requested to do something and you said, well, we might do it.
No, we're definitely going to do it on a portion of the project. We just might not be able to do it on both. Hopefully we will, and hopefully it works. But I mean, just like anything in 2 years from now or 3 years from now, we can't predict what the market's going to be, as we couldn't have predicted 2 to 3 years ago how the market changed so dramatically.
I don't have any further questions.
Is there anything else?
Mr. Bryan?
Yes. Thank you, Chairwoman Hilligas. Just minor questions, questions about parking. I suppose you would say proper, but you mentioned parking for Main Street Baptist Church across the street. Now, I understand that the priority of parking is for the patrons of the hotel. Could you do something, or could you say something and make some kind of designation about where the church attendees will use that parking lot?
That's a great question, Mr. Bryan. And I think, so, you know, we're at zoning and not final site plan. So behind the small 6,000 square foot building, there's some additional spaces there that are beyond the requirement. But I think more importantly, on Sundays, the market's not open, right? So all that space around the market would be available for the church. Now, as we progress and as we continue to work with the church, I think maybe, you know, walking, that's a little bit more of a distance, as an extra block, really, from the church. So I think some kind of maybe golf cart to move people, or some way to bring people over, especially those that might have a little bit of a hard time walking over. I think that's a perfect place where there's going to be tons of extra parking that can be available for the Baptist church.
Okay. Second question. It seemed like I recall in the original plan that there was some allowance for on-street parking. Is that included in this now?
Yes, sir. There's not quite as much. There's more paved parking lot area on this plan because there's less streets. But all of our public roadways, on one side of those streets, there'll be parallel parking.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Any other questions for you?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's the size of the cottage? How many square feet?
The
are
unit
cottage
itself,
units?
bear with me. They're 24 feet wide and about 40 feet deep. So if they're one story, they're about 800 to 1,000 square feet. Most of them are, or many of them are 2 stories, the products that we showed. 12 to 1,300 square feet for the larger ones.
And then which of the lots again did you say you would be considering moving to the townhomes?
All right, you're going to make me do it.
I was.
Do my best.
Exactly.
So these lots here
Okay.
and these lots here are proposed to be those cottage lots, as well as these. And the only area that we talked about, they're hatched, but it's hard to see. This is the only area that we talked about that these could potentially convert to the townhouses if the market just didn't want to absorb all these as cottage lots. So it allows us to continue through the plan without having to come back with a modification. But our hope is that we can build those cottage lots without issue.
Anything else, Mr. Yocum?
Nope, that's it.
Mr. Cutler?
Smith?
Just real quick, can you break down the prices
I was
of the
gonna ask
different
that.
places?
You were going to ask that? I cannot. We don't have pricing at the moment for all of the different products. I think the estate lots, we're hoping that you'll have individual buyers come in and buy the lots and have custom home builders, which I think in this plan is fantastic. We didn't have that previously, and you rarely see that these days. I don't want to stand here and guess. Do you want me to guess? Based on, I'm not guessing. So the prices right now are crazy, so hopefully things stabilize a little bit, but I don't want to try to guess at what those numbers are at the moment. We're just not there.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so we have 2 SUPs before us this evening. You want to hit the first one? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'm trying to get there. But go ahead.
You want me to do it? All right, I'll do it. So I make a motion that we approve the first special use permit for the waiver of yard requirements as proposed.
Second.
Can I
Motion
just,
and-
I'm sorry,
Recommendation to-
can I clarify, as exhibit, on the residential lot exhibit dated April 24th, 2025, please?
Yes, that's fine.
What she said. Okay, very good. There's a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, we call for the vote, please.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler,
No.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Dr. Pope,
Yes.
Mr. Yoko,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Hillegas.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. SUP number 2. Seeking a second SUP for waiver of building height in accordance with, for the townhomes, not to exceed 40 feet. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question real quick
Sure you
about that? In reading further down in our packet, they're talked about if anything exceeded the approved, or the approved height, that there had to be extra setback. Does that come into play with this?
No.
Okay, all right, then I move that we approve as presented on the April 25th, 2025 application.
Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, call for the vote, please.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Yoko,
Yes.
Dr. Pope,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
Mr. Cutler,
No.
Mr. Bryan,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Hillegas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Going at warp speed here. Item number 6 is a public hearing SUP for.
We need a motion for the actual.
Oh, this is all that's being considered. The proffers go to the town council.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you just got 2 SUPs tonight. This goes to the town council, as will the amendment to the proffers. So
We're going to let the
that's-
big dogs handle that. Okay.
You're done.
All right, item number 6,
Oh,
public hearing SUP for home occupation, 107 St. Paul's Avenue. Nancy O'Barry is the applicant. Ms. Clary, do we have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking a special use permit in accordance with Article 3F C18. This would be to utilize a portion of the home as a home occupation for the use of a book author. The applicant has stated that there will be no customers and no employees coming to the residence. This application does allow the applicant to continue her profession of authorship, and it's not a by right use and does require an SUP. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? Do have one speaker, okay. Ms. Jenny Soul, if you would come to the podium and state your name.
Actually, I was going to speak after Mrs. O'Leary if I could. Is that possible?
Okay, she didn't sign up, and we have a very tight.
She's the applicant.
Because she was the,
Right, and we'll give her time. So right now is your chance to comment at the public hearing.
Okay, I'm Jenny Soul at 104 Richmond in Church Square here in Smithfield. And Mrs. O'Barry is a neighbor of mine. And got our first author in our neighborhood. We're very pleased to have her. Under no circumstances have I ever seen anyone go to her home. All she's doing is sitting up in her frog room above the garage, putting her ideas down on paper for her next book. And no one that I've spoken to can understand why there's this $400 fee, and there's other people in my neighborhood attached in a quad, because that seems to be something with this, because she's in an attached home. There's other people that actually run a travel agency, and they got their business license, and none of this was done to them. So I'm really hoping we're going to hear a little more clarification after you hear Mrs. O'Barry with all the details about why this seems to be only happening to her. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, there being no other speakers, public hearing is officially closed. Ms. Clay, do we have a staff report, please? Did you do that already? Okay. Would the applicant like to speak?
Yes, ma'am, please. Good evening. I'm Nancy O'Berry. I live at 107 St. Paul's Avenue in Smithfield, Virginia. I was very lucky to be able to move in here in December of this year. And I wanted to become a good citizen, so I went to get my business license like I did in Suffolk. And I was a little surprised when I got the notice that I needed to pay $400 for a special permit. And I do understand that there are different qualifications in different localities due to specifics for housing and whatever. But it kind of just blew my mind because I know what I do. I sit in my room over the garage, and I have my pen and paper, and I have my laptop, and I'm writing. And no one really comes in to watch me write because I'm afraid it would be a little bit boring. But I'm making intellectual content. It's not Gone with the Wind, it's not War and Peace, but it's enough to make people smile or laugh or have a good time. And no one comes into the house to buy a book. I can understand, too, the idea of noise pollution, and they ask for parking content, and how many people would come in, and the use of my bathrooms. And it's just not going to happen because that is sort of my little spot away from everybody else. That's where I'm a wife, a mother, grandmother, but I go up there to write. I create stories with my computer. They're sent to my editor online. She returns them to me, and then I edit or do whatever she does to think it'll make it a better product. They are sent back to my formatter, again, online, so no one's coming to the house. And they are created into manuscripts that I turn up to Amazon or Draft Additional, and they have the format where I sell the books. I do get books when I go to craft fairs. We do like the Smithfield Cultural Arts thing. We did that the other day. I do Peanut Fest and small venues like that. And that's where that license comes important because I am responsible for turning in sales tax to the state. So it's kind of important that you have one before you do the other. But again, no one's coming to my house to watch me do this. My home is my residence, and I like to keep it that way. It's no brick and mortar store. The license is useful, of course, as I told you, for taxes. As for sales last year, I did 1,798. But there's that little thing about promotion, swag, that's what you give away, Amazon ads and whatever, and that was 1,770, so I made a whopping $28, which I consider it's least in the red. I was grand. I was happy. So it's I'm not Debbie McCumber. I'm not Nora Roberts. One day, maybe. But I just like the permission to sit up there in my room and write my stories if it's okay with the city council. I love the cultural flair of the city of Smithfield. That's one of the things that drew me up here to buy my house. So I appreciate your input. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. O'Barry.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I don't have
I'd like to make a comment.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, sir.
When I saw the application, I was a little confused myself. But you explained to some extent it is revenue generating.
Right, it is.
Okay. Mostly probably publishers or something?
Yeah, Amazon takes a great penny of that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so it is for the business license?
That's right.
That's basically what this is for?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you.
My pleasure, sir.
Other questions for the applicant?
none for the applicant.
Comments?
Yes. Okay, I do wonder, why does she need a special use permit to write in her own home? We have other people who write in Smithfield. I have no idea if they have special use permits or
Right.
not.
Yeah.
What she needs is just to have a business license in order to sell her books, not to write them.
She's zoned multifamily residential. According to the zoning ordinance for multifamily residential, home occupations are a special use permit item. According to Article 2, under Section U, home occupations, we define a home occupation as an author.
Really?
And so that is how we landed here.
That's how we landed here, huh?
That's unfortunate.
But aren't so home occupations also for suburban residential and the others as well?
It is a by right use in suburban residential and I believe neighborhood residential. Because it's MFR, that it's just categorized as a special use permit for MFR.
I'm not saying it's right, but it is what it is, and I suspect that the reason it was is because of just what Ms. Clary said, is the multifamily aspect of it, because that is much more densely inhabited area and potentially could have, I'm not saying she does, but
Right.
there's potential
Right.
for a music teacher to disturb the next door neighbor and that sort of thing. And so that's why I think it was included that way. I don't think this lady's sitting in her living room writing is gonna have any impact on anybody. And I don't think anybody else would either, but I suspect that's why it was done that way.
How we ended up here, yeah. Understood. Other comments or questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
Can I have one more question, please?
You sure can.
Can we ask to waive the $400 fee?
No.
Okay, thank you.
It was worth a shot.
Okay, I just wanted to ask.
You can't pick and choose who you want to charge fees to.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Just to clarify, the $400 application fee covers our public notice requirements for advertising.
I understand, thank you.
Let the record show we're not happy about it either.
Yeah.
It's okay, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure everything was all right.
You did the right thing.
I did get notice with the packet about extra money for water for the use of my bathrooms for my customers. That, I won't have to worry about that, will I?
No.
Okay, thank you so very much. Enjoy your evening.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve her SUP for writing in from, favorably recommend that we approve her SUP.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Claire, I think we can do a vote by ascension on this one. All in
No.
favor?
No.
No?
You have to call the roll.
Oh, Bill.
Sorry.
Ms. Clary, will you call for the question, please?
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas.
It's unanimous. Go forth and write great things. Thank you.
To council.
To council, we're making a unanimous
Yes, right.
recommendation. We have no power, Billy.
And try not to flush too often.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully your laptop doesn't just click away.
Silly guy.
You know.
All right,
Ms.
hits
Hilliard.
just keep on coming. Folks, I'm sorry.
Can we discuss this a little bit more at the end about home occupations?
Yes,
Sure.
I'd like to do that.
Sure, remind me.
Time, depending on time constraints.
Yeah. Item number 7. Hey, look, it's another public hearing. Temporary real estate marketing offices, temporary trailer, 1102 Wharf Hill Drive.
No.
You missed
You
one.
missed
Oh, I
one.
missed one, sorry. SUP short-term rental, 139 Sykes Court. Let's open the public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up for this one?
No, ma'am.
No speakers signed up. We will close the public hearing, moving right along. Ms. Clerk, we have a staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking approval to rent 139 Sykes Court, which is an existing single-family residential dwelling, as a short-term rental property. No changes to the property are proposed in order to accommodate this short-term rental. It does provide additional accommodations in the historic district. It is not a by right use. It does require an SUP. We do recommend that a recommendation is conditioned on the applicant following the conditions outlined in Article 2Z1A through I, except for item B, which requires a signed and notarized short-term rental affidavit ensuring compliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak on behalf of this application? Is there anyone here? State your name and address for the record, please.
Anna Boyer, 11183 Burrows Bay Road, Smithfield.
Okay.
So I already have one other property like this. This will be slightly different in that I've already had one 6-month renter in, and it will likely be more of those type of rentals versus just the 2 to 3 night rentals. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but that's sort of the idea behind this versus just the turnover.
Okay.
Okay.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Any discussion?
How long are the SUPs in effect before they come back up before us?
That would be a condition that you could place on the SUP if you'd like.
And then they come back before us if there are complaints?
They do.
We would bring it back. What we did with Institute Street was we brought it back the first year and then every 2 years thereafter.
Any other issues?
That seems reasonable to me, what we did with Institute Street in this, because this is a little bit of, it's away, it's tucked away. They don't, y'all back up to the creek if I'm not mistaken. And so there's not a lot of other residences around there, so it is a better location. There's some that are good locations, but this is a better location even if this does turn into a very short-term rental versus a medium-term rental. But I would like to see it come back in a year and then every 2 years after that, just so we can watch for the community over there, because it is a pretty quiet street. And so I just want to make sure that there's not a short-term rental that comes in and then there's a huge party or something going on and we get lots of complaints from it. But I would like to keep it, on a shorter leash, so to speak.
Is that a motion, Dr. Pope?
I would make a motion that we present it, that we make a motion to present it as, to make a motion to recommend to town council that we approve this as presented with the condition of review the special use permit in 1 year, and then we can decide from there if we go every 2 years after that or not.
Is
Or
there a second?
conditional for 1 year special use permit with potential renewal at that time.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Clary, recall for the question, please.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, next is item number 8, also a public hearing. SUP for temporary real estate marketing offices, 1102 Warfield Drive, Eastwood Homes of Richmond is the applicant. We will open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Ms. Clary, can we have staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking a special use permit in accordance with Article 3CC 24 for a temporary real estate marketing office for new subdivisions. It is a proposed 28 by 8 temporary white vinyl trailer that will be used to meet with potential customers while the model home is under construction. It is expected to be on site for not longer than 4 to 6 months. This application does allow the applicant a temporary marketing office. It is not a by right use and does require an SUP. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Hey, good evening. My name is Vince Napolitano, and I'm representing Eastwood Homes tonight. Here for any questions if you have any.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
No. Make a motion as we approve as presented.
Second.
Favorable recommendation.
Favorable recommendation to council. Go ahead. There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, can we have the question, please?
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item number 9, also a public hearing, special use permit temporary, oh, no, that's what we just did. Never mind.
No, we have 2.
Oh, we have 2, okay. Temporary real estate marketing office and model homes, 1102, 1106, and 1110 Warfield Drive, Stanley Martin Home LLC and Eastwood Homes, the applicant. We will open the public hearing. Are there any speakers? No speakers. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of the application?
Do you want staff report?
Well, sure, do a staff report.
Thank you. The applicant is seeking a special use permit in accordance with Article 3 CC 23 for 2 temporary real estate marketing offices for a new subdivision. These 2 model homes will share a temporary parking lot. The garages will function as the offices and then will be converted back to garages when they're no longer needed. They will be open daily from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and by appointment. This does provide the applicants with temporary marketing offices for the sale of homes. It's not by right and does require an SUP. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Steve Miller. I'm with Stanley Martin Homes. We're at 1182 Fountain Way in Newport News, Virginia. Just here to answer any questions that you have about our sales office. We're excited to be building homes in the town here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Miller.
I'm assuming the parking lot will be destroyed and a home will be put there
It
at
will.
some point.
Yes, sir.
Other questions? Comments?
Make a recommendation, we approve, or we make a recommendation to town council and approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, is there a motion and second? Ms. Clary, we call for the question, please.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Next item, number 10, public hearing SUP for recreational substance establishment, 13404 Ben's Church Boulevard. It's a public hearing item. We'll open public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? We will close the public hearing. Ms. Clary, we have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking a special use permit in accordance with Article 3 IC 33 in order to operate a recreational substance establishment. The applicant would primarily be selling cigars, cigarettes, e-liquid, and e-cigarettes. This would bring a business into an otherwise vacant location. It is not a by right use. It does require an SUP. Due to previous illegal activity, this owner business was shut down. Staff do suggest the removal of all window signs and tenting and should only be allowed to operate Monday through Sunday from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. in accordance with the new recreational substance establishment guidelines in our zoning ordinance. I also invited Deputy Chief Chris Meyer to come up and add to my staff report as well. Thank you.
Great. Welcome.
Good evening. As Tammy said, my name is Chris Meyer. I'm the Deputy Chief of Police for Smithfield Police. I want to tell you all the police department's concern for these businesses. On February 10th, we raided 4 of these vape stores here in town, which is all the vape stores that we have. And we pulled, out of this specific establishment, we pulled 7 total pounds of marijuana products. 4.5 pounds were pre-rolls, which are blunts, marijuana rolled in a blunt already, ready to sell. 1.5 pounds of just loose leafy marijuana, 1/2 pound of THC vape products, and 1/3 pound of THC gummies. The concern is that these establishments throughout Hampton Roads, not just in Smithfield, are being used to sell these illegal THC products. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
I have
Mr.
a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the status of charges against the 4 businesses?
I'm not going to speak on that because they haven't been to court yet. They go to court, I believe, July 10th. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Thank you.
Okay.
Planning Commission comments, discussion? Oh, would the applicant like to speak?
Your Honor, if I may, Attorney I'd like to speak on behalf of applicant today. I did notify Ms. Cleary
Could you
about
state
my
your name and
intention.
address for the record?
Yes,
sir?
my name is Anton Karpov. I'm an attorney with Bune Karpov Law. I represent the owner of this establishment in a criminal prosecution, and also I would like to speak in support of his special use application. I do understand concerns that the Deputy Chief shared with you today. There's a big concern because the vape is a new industry. There's a lot of variables come to play, and there's a lot of restrictions being put in place as we go. Legislation changes every day. We all heard about the CBD and other things that first they did not require permits, then they start requiring permit, then they did change like the certain chemical modification of the product that they were supposed to be sold. The only thing I will like to tell you is this particular shop had been operating from that location, tenants with Smithfield serving its residents for 5 years. This is the very first time the criminal charges were brought against the owner. I do represent the owner, and I did pick up today the copy of discovery from the Commonwealth attorney who will be recusing the case. And I'm sorry, I do know I speak with an accent, so if I speak too fast, just interrupt me and just tell me I'll repeat myself. My apologies for that. What I would like to tell you is that even though it's not a perfect defense, I wanted to explain what have happened in a situation like this. Based on my review of the evidence, was loosely around a pound of commercially packaged marijuana in the pre-rolled and other things that was seized from this particular location. Even though it does not necessarily constitute a criminal defense, legal defense to the charges, but I'll submit to you that those products have been offered to the owner, whom I'm representing in the court, by the distributor that operates out of Roanoke under the false pretenses that they are commercially legal to sell. He provided him with the, if I may, just want to share you. Actually, I came today to try to share it with the prosecutor, but I didn't catch him in the office, but I'd like to share you that so there's a number of old invoices. All this marijuana was legally purchased. Well, he thought it was legally purchased, and he thought there was no marijuana but CBD and Delta 6 or Delta 8 products, but the wholesaler was providing him with the certificate of quality and compliance with Virginia laws that look like this out of the California labs that was showing that the product that he was selling, even though it was mimicking certain marijuana qualities, was legal to sell. And I do understand there's a high burden on my client as owner of the shop not to trust those certificates and do his own due diligence, but he made a mistake and he will have to deal with this. We will deal with it through the courts, but I want to tell you something, that this particular establishment was not shut down because of the criminal activity. It was shut down. It was not shut down by the court. There's no court order that prohibits them to operate as a vape shop and cigar shop legally. The reason why this is closed right now is because it requires special use permit that we're asking for today. I do understand there's certain requests that were made by the Planning Commission regarding the window signs and tinting and other things. Owner actually visited the location today. Owner will be willing to comply with all those requirements, including the special hours. In addition, he will be willing to cooperate with the Smithfield Police Department when it comes to, I would anticipate that he will waive the Fourth Amendment right so the police detectives can come and look inside of the shop anytime they want to. They would not have to have a warrant. I'll make a special written deal with the Commonwealth attorney, and he just wants to operate honest, fair business that will serve people of Springfield. I understand most of us probably don't use vape products. It's a new thing. But I can tell you that the demand grows, and if there will be no shops that offering those type of products, likely the residents of Smithfield will be looking to either purchase them online or from other locations, so it's going to take business away from the city of Smithfield, and it might going to bring some unknown substances into the city. So what I'm asking the court to consider is this. Obviously, if the court, after this litigation is over, will prohibit him from selling, then the location will be shut down. I understand that. What I'm asking the court, I'm sorry, the court, all habits die last. But I'm asking the commission to grant him the permit for the period of 2 years. On the express condition, there will be no violation of law noted or filed against him or any of his employees. And to see how he can operate like he did for 5 years until this said incident. Closing the shops and running the vape shop entrepreneurs, for lack of a better term, out of the town will create black market, will create people trying to smuggle those products, will create online purchases that might gonna bring like unsavory and unsafe products to Smithfield. I think it's just not prudent. I fully understand the concern of the deputy chief. And I'm promising on behalf of my client, and I'm not only promising it to this board, I also will make the same promise to the prosecution, that he will be fully compliant with any investigations, present or current, in the future, and he will keep his business open for any type of inspections, whether it to be for public safety or for any kind of special police interests. He'll be willing to do that. My client has no prior record. They're not an employee of the business, no prior criminal record. They're not an employee of the business who also was cited, has absolutely no criminal record. I'll submit to you that in the case that maybe they acted a little bit too fast and they did not do due diligence, but I don't think they intentionally wanted to bring the marijuana products in the city of Smithfield. So I'm asking the court to grant them the special use permit today, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. He also will be happy to answer them, but he's very shy, so I'm kind of trying to help him out speak in public.
Any questions?
I have one question.
Mr. Brown?
Does your client use the products he sells?
Vape products? Yes. Are you talking about marijuana? Which products?
Let's say the illegal products.
Well, marijuana is legal to use in Virginia. It's not legal to sell. And that's where the problem is, because we're still going through all those notions. So legislature have approved the use of marijuana. So you can even grow it in your backyard up to 4 plants. Am I correct?
Yes.
So you can smoke it any day and you're not going to get arrested. The problem is they have not developed the mechanism for distribution. California, on the other hand, do. And a lot of those products, they do come prepackaged. They're packed with the factory seals. They're packed with very bright, professionally made packaging. And some of them individually rolled and packaged. There's a full industry that sells marijuana out there. Some of them been marketed as a Delta product, Delta 8, Delta 9. There's a gazillion different brand names. And this is what my client thought that he was selling. He thought he was selling imitation. Whether or not it was a smart thing for him to think this way or not, I'll have to talk to the prosecutor about that. But what I want to make it very clear to this board today on his behalf, that from now on, he's definitely going to be using much better judgment. And I also want to submit to you that until this incident that happened like this year, this shop operated for 5 years without a single citation. And I think this is something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Mr. Cutler?
Yes, please. I don't have a question, but just a comment, and then I'll be glad to make a motion unless somebody else would like to. I do think the businesses, love it or hate it, are necessary. As he said, they'll go out to another town or whatever, but I think that we've had our experience with the business owners, and my thought on this was for the citizens of Smithfield that go into these businesses and expect to do business, legal business, in a legal manner and not caught in a situation where, they could be in trouble for being present in a business that's doing illegal operations or something like that. And then the same for the employees. There were a number of employees, I recall, that were charged, and whether they were involved in the act or not, but I would like to make a motion that we recommend disapproval of the SUP for recreational substance abuse establishment for 13404 Bench Church Boulevard.
I would like to make a comment.
There's a motion on the floor.
Motion, is there a second?
Not at this time. I also wanted to speak.
Oh, can I rescind it? I'll rescind it and we can continue to discuss.
That's fine.
Okay, I'll rescind my motion.
Mr. Brown?
I find it a little difficult that this happened at 4 different locations, that all the owners made the same mistake. The other thing is, the way we consider our town, small town, the character of Smithfield and such, and how different it is from every other municipality. And the citizens, the few citizens that come to me and spoke about these things, these shops, none of them approved of them. I mean, I think we consider Smithfield a nice, safe, conservative municipality to live in, and want to keep it that way. And the other thing here is, you see these places, these type of businesses, other places, the lighting and all the flash and everything, they look pretty gaudy to me. And I don't, due to our ordinances and such, I don't think we really want to condone these type of businesses. I understand it's a small business and we should be supporting small business, but some small businesses, to me, really don't fit within the character of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Ms. Smith?
Well, I have a few objections to this. One is that the applicant has not gone to trial yet. I think it's a little bit soon to be requesting this. I appreciate that Ms. Clary submitted the visual of what is around this area. And one of the biggest things, I mean, I know it's got some quality time, child care and others. Those kids aren't going there, but the kids from Smithfield High School are. Part of the problem, as I understand, is that they were selling the vape products to underage kids. The kids probably presented themselves as, you know, being old enough, but I know that there were high schoolers that were using it. Also, he was practicing or using his establishment for 5 years without problem. Well, that was because he hadn't gotten caught. I happen to know that after he was closed down, all of them were closed down, I was told by 2 separate people that they had bought marijuana from this shop in the past. Not the recent past, but the distant past. Well, I won't say distant, but in the past. So, I'm sorry, he may have thought he was selling legally, but he'd been doing it for more than a little while. So, I'll just say right now, I am not in favor of
Julia.
approval.
Mr. Davidson?
I don't see how we can consider this special use permit as long as this is going through the courts. If they would want to reapply after a court decision is made, as the deputy chief has said, 4 places were hit at the same time. I have several friends on the police department. I've talked to them about this, and I, like the previous comments, at this time I just can't support it.
Do we have a time frame in which we have to act on this? Or how
90
long may
days
this-
for
90 days,
SUPs.
But all these questions about the court, that's not really the issue. And considering a special use permit is in the best interest of the town citizens. It's the best interest of the citizens of the town of Smithfield. That's your
That's our
one and only
benchmark.
Yep.
consideration.
Our
So
benchmark.
I think that's
all
an-
this other stuff is sort of noise,
Yeah.
so.
I think that's an easy interpretation, that it's not in the best interest of our residents. I find it hard to believe that he thought he was selling legal blunts and loose marijuana. I thought that was legal, but, you know, he's not on trial here with us. So, Mr. Cutler, if you would
Yeah.
like to redo your motion, we're ready for it,
Certainly.
I think.
I make a motion that we provide a negative recommendation of the town council for the special use permit for recreational substance establishment at 13404 Bench Church Boulevard.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Cleary, call for the question, please.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 11 is a waiver for a temporary storage container at 516 Pagan Road. This is not a public hearing. Ms. Clary, you have a staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking a Planning Commission waiver in accordance with Article 2P15. This would be to keep a temporary storage container on the property until no later than November 11th, 2025. This is for the storage of household items while the single-family dwelling is undergoing renovations. The applicant was issued a zoning permit waiver and a zoning permit, which allows the storage container to be kept on the property for 156 days, which does expire June 12th, 2025. The container is located in the rear yard of the property. We do recommend that approval would be contingent on the applicant having that temporary storage container removed on or before November 11th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here to speak on behalf of the application?
I am here, but I don't need to speak. I'm here for any questions?
Okay. Do you all have any questions?
I do.
Come on up and state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Mark Dees. I live at 516 Pagan Road.
Great. Ms. Smith?
My question is that I saw that you applied back in January for 90 days, I think is what it was approved, it looked like, and then again in March, and now it's up again. Now you're going to November. Do you believe that that is truly when it's going to finally all be done for you?
So I have applied multiple times based on the requirements from the Planning Commission. The first 21 days, I have to notify, and then there's another submittal, and I have done all that too. I haven't just kind of kept continuing to extend this.
Okay.
I'm just following the process that was laid out to me.
Thank you.
And then when I reach the end of the town approvals, I now have to come to the Planning Commission. I feel like we will be done well before November, but with dealing with contractors,
Sure.
weather, things like that, you never can tell. And I had stated in my application that we would remove it as soon as possible.
Sure.
I'm not going to try to keep it there, but it's kind of hard to forecast.
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dr. Pope?
Where did the November 11th date come? Is that just when this particular approval ends? Or where was that, why was that date selected?
I just picked a date on the calendar.
You picked it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's,
Because to me, it's irrelevant what the date is. He's undergoing an active renovation. He needs to keep a dumpster there until this project is done, whether it's done in August or done in December.
well, it's actually for a pod.
Oh, is that where his personal belongings are?
Yes. We currently live in a pool house. We call it the pool house behind the main house. It's a ADU that we built last year, and it's 300 and some square feet. So it's kind of small, and we needed extra room for clothes and just stuff we want to keep secure.
Right. Yeah.
Other questions, discussion?
I would like to make a motion that we approve as presented, but I would like for him to be able to come back before us on November the 11th, if necessary, to extend it, because the way that the staff recommendations are, it needs to be removed on or before. I don't know if he runs into some kind of delay or he has a problem with his contractor, he's not really in control of that. So to tell him he's got to remove it by November the 11th, to me, is unreasonable. So I would like to make a motion that we approve as presented with the opportunity for him to come back by November the 11th to extend the application if necessary.
Been motion, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Clary, call for question, please.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
No.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Take it.
keep it quiet. All right. Let's see where we are. Item number 12. Interscore overlay review, exterior renovations, 1119 South Church Street. Ms. Clary, we have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking entrance corridor overlay review for various renovations to the existing structure. There will be the installation of an ADA compliant entrance door at the front of the bank with a wave operated door. This is for ease of access. The previous drive-through ATM on the south side will be removed and infilled with brick and mortar to match the existing. The drive-through on the north side will be modified to accommodate a new ATM and night deposit, all remaining being infilled with brick and mortar to match existing. There will be repairs to the slate roof as needed. There will be one additional window to accommodate renovations made to the interior, which will match the existing windows on the front and side of the building. 2 new HVAC rooftop units will be installed. There will be new curb and gutter that will be installed around the perimeter of the site, along with necessary pavement repairs. There will be additional repairs to the aggregate curb and brick sidewalk at the front of the bank. A portion of the existing sidewalk on the south side of the building will be removed, and grass and low shrubs will be provided. There will be a new ADA ramp installed at the rear of the building. The outer curb and gutter will be brushed concrete, while the curb along the building will be exposed aggregate. The front brick pavers will be replaced with exposed aggregate, and the existing sidewalk will be replaced with a vegetation green area with aggregate sidewalk at the side entrance. Thank you.
Goodness, that's a lot. Is there someone from the applicant here to speak? Come on up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name's Katie Martin. I'm with HBA Architecture at 1 Columbus Center in Virginia Beach. I'm the architect on the project, speaking on behalf of Town Bank and Sussex Development. I know I gave a very wordy explanation, so anything else you have questions on, I'm happy to answer.
Great, thank you. Questions for the applicant?
So you're not going to have an ATM?
There still will be the ATM. The ATM is moving over to the drive-through area so that they don't really have a two-stop. It's all under the covered existing drive-through space. So we're housing the after-hours deposit and the ATM in the same location.
Just the one closest to the building?
Sorry?
The ATM will be in the drive-through, the closest to the building?
The closest lane to the building, yes. We're infilling the drive-through window, and that's where that will go.
Okay. Other questions?
Have any other questions?
Comments? Chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve as presented, or make a recommendation to town council, or it's for us, isn't it? No, I'll make a recommendation, we approve this as presented.
Is there a second? Don't be shy.
Okay, so,
Oh, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, there's a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, recall for the question, please.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, next item is another entrance court overlay review, 1911 South Church Street, Smithfield Foods. Ms. Clary, we have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking approval to install a 122.25 square foot black aluminum Smithfield non-illuminated channel sign. It will be removed from the formal processing plan and refurbished. We do recommend approval conditioned on a sign permit application and the $30 application fee. Thank
Okay.
you.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? Come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Courtney Fleming, representing Smithfield Foods, 111 Commerce Street.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for this applicant? You good? We have a motion?
Make a motion to approve as presented, provided the applicants submit a sign, sorry, my computer's messing up, submitting a sign permit application and pay the required fees.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, recall for the question, please.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Recycle that sign, thanks. Next item is Mallory Point Phase A site plan amendment for a mailbox cluster. Ms. Clary, staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking a site plan amendment to erect a 22-foot by 12-foot covered mailbox kiosk on the northern end of open space parcel 2. This would be for the future residents of Mallory Point Phase A. The covered structure will feature a black split seam metal roof, closed-in gables with decorative PVC boards, vented hardy soffits, and white PVC trim. It will also feature a brick skirting to match the subdivision signs facing Battery Park Road. We do recommend that approval is conditioned on the applicant submitting a zoning permit application fee payment of $75. Thank you.
Okay. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? You know the drill.
Hey, good evening. Still Vince Napolitano, 1492 South Independence Boulevard. I did just want to clarify, on the application, I incorrectly put the intersection as being Warfield Drive and Thomas Crossing. It's actually Warfield Drive and Wentworth Crossing. So location's still the same, but any questions, we're excited to be able to get mail to our residents there eventually.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Any questions for the applicant?
It looks like there's going to be shrubbery and all around, but the mailboxes won't be invisible, right? I mean, the patrons who go up are the
Correct.
residents.
We want to have low shrubbery, nothing that's going to grow up around it so that
Right.
you have clear line of sight and feel
And-
safe when you're getting your mail.
And will it be lit at night?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this corner is, one of the reasons we chose this corner is because we have a street light right there at that corner, and there's a ADA ramp, so it's accessible to everybody.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a pull-off or a parking spot or whatever available in that area? Or they
So
walk?
the reason that we chose this location is because it's actually a one-way street that's going in on Wharf Drive. And when you get to this corner where you've got Wentworth Crossing, that road is, when you're coming out of some of the rear sections of Phase A, you actually have to take a right at that corner. So if you're leaving and you've got to drop off some outgoing mail, you can stop right there on the corner and you're on a two-way street. If you're coming in, it's a one-way street, but it's wide enough that you can have one car parked on the left side of that road and still get through traffic.
That's what it was hard to tell, is if there was enough room. to-
Right. Yep,
to have
plenty of
some
right-of-way
parallel
for
parking
it.
or
Yep.
something on there, so.
Yes, sir.
You got room.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
Make a motion, we approve as presented, provided that they submit a zoning permit application and fee payment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Was that you?
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, recall for the question, please.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
You got mailboxes.
Thank you.
Item number 15, entrance court overlay review for sign 1305 South Church Street. Ms. Clary, you have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. The applicant is seeking ECO review for a 39.7 square foot wall sign. It will be internally illuminated with letters and logos. It will feature white and teal letters on a black background, and the detached sign will also be refaced. We do recommend approval is contingent on a sign permit and fee payment. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Krista Pickrell with Cardinal Signs out of Virginia Beach. I'm here representing Tequila Modern Mexican Restaurant that's coming into y'all's town. So Tammy said pretty much everything. If y'all have any questions, let me
Okay.
know.
Any questions for the applicant?
Is this a different restaurant than the tacos and tequila?
It is. It's a different Mexican, so that's why we're changing it.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They started out with the other one, and that didn't come to fruition, so they have another one.
Okay. Other questions? Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve as presented, provided they do a sign permit and the required fee payment.
For a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Ms. Clary, you call for the question, please.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Got your sign. Thank you. All right. Next item. We're back to public hearings. Text amendment on public notice requirement, Smithfield zoning ordinance, Article 2.W.2.A. Town is the applicant. This is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing. Seeing no one signed up, we will close the public hearing. Ms. Clary, we have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you. This is a text amendment to Article 2W2A of the zoning ordinance. This would bring publication requirements in line with the future state code that would become in effect in July. This allows us, again, to go back to that regular advertising schedule of not more than 28 days before and then no less than 5 days before the meeting in reference. We do suggest a favorable recommendation to Town Council. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion? Just a housekeeping item, really, right? Yes, ma'am.
All right, I make a motion that we make a favorable recommendation to Town Council to approve text amendment on public notice requirements for Smithfield zoning ordinance, Article 2, Whiskey 2 Alpha.
Second.
Thank you. Good motion, a second. Ms. Clary, call for the question, please.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next item is also a public hearing. Text amendment regarding group homes, Smithfield zoning ordinance, Articles 3.A, 3.B, 3.C, 3.D, E, F, G, H, and 3.J2. We will open the public hearing, and there's no one signed up, so we're going to close that public hearing. Ms. Clary, can we have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. This is a change to our zoning ordinance to incorporate group homes as a by right use in each residential zoning district: community conservation, neighborhood residential, suburban residential, downtown neighborhood residential, attached residential, residential office, downtown, and the PMUD excluding multifamily dwellings. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Any discussion?
Per our discussion before, right?
Pretty much. Do we have a motion?
Sure, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Favorable recommendation.
Oh, this one is not ours, is it? This is a
Don't
favorable
get power
recommendation.
hungry.
I know. Favorable recommendation to town council to approve the text amendment as presented.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Ms. Clary, call for the question, please.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hilligas?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is not a public hearing, but a text amendment. Duplex definition and bulk regulation, Smithfield zoning ordinance, Articles 3D, 3E, and 13. Town staff is the applicant. Ms. Clary, do you have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. This is carryover from last month's meeting where it was requested to have a red line version of the zoning ordinance that incorporated both options. That would be to have one duplex unit on per subdivided lot, meaning you would need to have 2 subdivided lots for a single duplex. And we are also providing the option of having 1 duplex, which would be 2 units on a single subdivided lot, with the increase in the minimum lot area and the minimum lot width. Thank you.
Questions or discussion?
My only concern with this is when you have attached building with 2 separate owners, how is it going to be regulated of what improvements are made exteriorly? If I want to replace my roof because it's 30 years old and now I've got a 1-year-old roof and my neighbor has a 30-year-old roof, I'm having a problem wrapping my mind around this. At least if you have one property owner, whether they live there or they don't, it seems like to me that one property owner is going to make an improvement all the way around. So I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what happens with 2 separate owners in the same building, and how do you make sure that these windows are painted, those windows are straight, and the roof is right, and those types of things.
it's not the town's problem.
It's not a
It-
town's,
it's-
but to me,
I
it's
mean,
a maintenance issue and an eyesore that we have to deal with.
It is a maintenance, well, we have a building maintenance code, but this is not a new animal. This is in existence all over the country. There are places that they're on Wilson Road that are exactly like this. You have common walls, and they have to have party wall agreements that are step where the two different owners rely on the same interior wall.
The concern I had with it was it just wasn't clear. I mean, I thought by assumption you could assume, I suppose, if you're building a duplex that is on two separate lots, then it would have two separate owners, and hence the lots are going to be larger. But you could build a duplex on a single lot, but it wasn't clear. But I think we could assume, perhaps, which is not necessarily a good thing sometimes, that single lot duplex, one owner owns both units, lives in them both, rents one, whatever. But it just wasn't clear in the language, and if it doesn't need to be, then that was fine too.
The only way you can own the only way that two people can own two units on a single lot is if they do it in a condominium form of ownership. A condominium form of ownership requires, to your point, Dr. Pope, condominium documents, and that addresses the whole issue of who's responsible for maintaining what. But that's the only way there's no way to do it by deed. You can't own half of this lot and half of that lot by deed. You can do it as a unit in a condominium, but that's completely different than saying I own this fee simple part here and this fee simple part here. It has to be done by condominium, which makes everything else a common area. And by law, the condominium dockets have to deal with all the requirements of condominium. And that deals with issues you're talking about.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification, because as I look through it, seeing that same principle, so now if it begs the question, why would we make this distinction, and why would we not make them similar? Because, I don't see why anybody would choose. I suppose if you're going to have individual owners, you may choose two separate lots, but if you're developing, you're almost certainly going to choose the smaller lot sizes. So, what's driving the necessity for the change?
The zoning ordinance is not clear, and so we are clarifying that you can, at this stage, last month we were clarifying that you could have one duplex on one single lot, and then we were asked to provide both options, so this is allowing both options. We had to increase the lot size and the lot width because you're going to have two units on one lot.
Mr. Cutler, if you didn't want to own it in the condominium form, the line goes right down the middle. And so it's kind of like a townhouse.
Oh, I've
Same
been
thing.
there. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, but it can be either or. It's really just a form of ownership. It's not so much, and they're like the single lot version is really the greatest the best opportunity or the best way to do it if you want to own it and rent it. If they're going to be, a duplex for rent, that's the best way to do it because it's one piece of land. And so if I was going to do two ownerships, I'd probably pick the one where the line goes down the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I said. If you were going to have two owners, you'd have to have a property line down the middle.
But it can be done either way. It's just a different.
Right. So what I'm getting at is we're creating an option to have two different ownership methods, but two different standards. So we have duplex lot 1 that has a square footage standard for one attached unit per lot, and then we have duplex lot, one duplex per lot that has different figures, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, so if you build on an interior lot, you're going to build out 2 units on 6,000 square feet, or you're going to build out 2 units on 8,000 square feet. Well, the point in the change, if I'm not mistaken from what you presented, is to give the option. But the option is for ownership, not for different lot sizes, so I don't understand why they're not the same.
It would be difficult to meet setback requirements on the 4,000 square foot lot and also achieve a desirable square footage, which is why if the intention was to have one unit on an interior lot at 4,000 square feet, we needed to then increase that square footage by half that, because you're adding one more unit to it, which is how we came up with the 6,000 square feet, and that would essentially mimic what we had already in our zoning ordinance.
So then why would one attached unit not also be 6,000 square feet? Because that's still 2 units on one lot, so that would be the same, would it not?
So your logic is kind of reversed, because what we did is we went with what we had in our ordinance to start, which was the 4,000 square feet, which would be for one unit. And then what we did was we increased it, assuming that there would be a 2,000 square foot unit and a 2,000 square foot unit on the other separate lot, which is how we then added to the 4,000 to get the 6,000, so that we could have the 2 units on one 6,000 square foot lot.
I understand that, but I just can't say it.
I understand that, but, you know, if you put those 2 lots, piece of property and houses, identical 2 duplexes on the 2 different lot options, they're going to be different. And I understand your logic, your math, it's arithmetic, but that still doesn't make sense that you would have same house, 2 lots side by side that would be different. We're given an ownership option, not a lot size option. So that's why I don't think either the 4,000, 5,000, or the 6,000, 7,000 doesn't make sense. It needs to be one or the other in my thinking on it. Same with the lot widths and such.
If you got the 2 units on one lot, your center setback, you don't have a center setback which is 0 on that single lot.
Right.
You got your setbacks from either side. When you put it on 2 lots, you have a 0 setback, so to get the same setback from the edges, you can do it on a quote-unquote less square footage. Because you have essentially a 0 lot line between the 2 lots.
Yeah, well, and again, that's like a condominium ownership scenario, which doesn't have a lot,
Exactly.
right? These are lots.
It has a lot, but it's
It has
the
a
whole-
lot, but
it's one big lot
one big
on
lot.
which
Right.
the duplex is located.
Right. Well, it's one big lot on which the entire property is located, right? I mean, we saw on the Corollo project, right? Everybody was going to jointly own all of that property.
Condominium.
Right. That's what y'all both just talked about. So,
We're
if
not
you,
talking about multiple units, we're talking about a duplex,
I
which is a different animal.
yeah, I understand.
Other comments?
But they're not the same. These are not the same thing.
It's the same concept.
But if the square footage were the same, if you built 2 identical duplexes of 2,000 square feet, 1,000 square foot each, and you put them on each of these lots, they're going to have different yard sizes and setbacks. But the point of performing this was for the ownership option, not to change the lot size. I understand your arithmetic, but I think the sum of the 2 lots versus the 1 lot, the sum of the 2 lots should equal the 1 lot, and they would be the same size. And I rest my case.
Other comments or questions for staff? What's your pleasure, ladies and gentlemen? I hear crickets.
Well, because I've lost my page.
I'm with Mr. Cutler on this. I still am confused.
Well, you don't have to do it, but the whole idea was instead of, everybody complains that we're inflexible, and now you're trying to be flexible, and what's wrong with that?
Right, but the flexibility we were seeking was
But-
ownership
No,
methodology.
but you're missing, you're missing Mr.
No,
Yoko's
I asked
point,
the
think.
question.
I think you're missing Mr. Yoko's point though. If it's 2 lots, you have a 0 lot line, which means you don't have to account for any setback here, but you have to account for setback here and here. But if it's 1 lot, you have, the structure's located in the middle, not on the edge, and you have to account for setbacks on both sides.
I understand.
Well, no, but that's what I think she's driving. Isn't that what you're driving at, Ms. Clary?
Again, the zoning ordinance is not clear. It bounces back and forth, and so for ease of interpretation, we were originally just going to provide one option. At this point now, we're just providing 2 different options, but it's clearly delineated through the zoning ordinance what is allowed.
I think flexibility is always a good thing, so I would be in favor of that, if anybody would like
What-
to make a motion.
If I may.
Do we need a whiteboard?
Well,
We need crayons.
if you build a 2,000, and you can even, so 1 duplex per lot on the 6,000 square feet, so here's your lot line down the middle. So you build the same house on both squares, the squares are not the same, because this one, I'm sorry, it's gonna be 8,000 feet because it's 2 lots. This one's gonna be 6,000 feet because it's 1. This one's gonna have, so the lots that, so to me, and maybe I'm the lone wolf here, but we're selecting duplexes, but we have 2 different lot sizes that has nothing to do with the problem, which was given ownership options.
Would it be fair to say that the choice of lot, and whether it's the duplex is on 1 lot or if the duplex is split on 2 lots, wouldn't that be a market consideration just like we considered with the cottages previously? Wouldn't it be a market consideration for the builders, the owners, whether they want to own a duplex on 1 lot or 2 lots? That's a market consideration, wouldn't it be?
I mean, I suppose it could be, you know, they're gonna build to sell them most likely unless they're building them to rent, or a condominium situation with 0 lot lines, but I don't think, this is not describing a condominium scenario, I don't think.
Condominiums are not, condominiums are an ownership. You can own lots of stuff in condominiums. It's the way you own it. It's not a product.
Right, but we're not defining condominium, we're defining duplex lot for 1 attached unit per lot and duplex lot for 1 duplex per lot.
Correct.
So is the assumption when you have a duplex and a 4,000 square foot lot, are you assuming 1 duplex is bringing 4,000 square feet and the second duplex is bringing 4,000 square feet? Or are you assuming 4,000 square feet would accommodate 1 duplex on 4,000 square feet?
It would be 1 unit of the duplex on the 4,000 square feet,
And so the second unit would be an
4,000
additional
square feet.
4,000. So that would be a total of 8 to do that if you brought individual lots.
Correct.
That, but a single-family home, which is what I think you're hung up on, is 6,000 square feet is just what it is for a single-family home. That means you have more green space with this as a minimum, which is more inconsistent with our clustered residential zoning. So that makes sense to me if each individual unit has to bring their own 4,000 square feet for an interior lot, or bring their own 5,000 square feet if it's a corner lot. Am I thinking about that right?
You sure are.
If I buy 2 pieces of land downtown that are lots, and one's 5,000 square feet and the other one's 3,000 square feet, I'm allowed to put the house on there because the total's up to 8,000 square feet. right? Because each one brings their own, if I'm buying it, I can move the lot line and put it in. But if I buy a lot at 2,000 square feet and buy another lot at 3,000 square feet, I can't put a duplex on it because I don't bring 4,000 square feet to the table for each one. I mean,
Unless we approve this.
I thought that was even with approving this.
Well,
Well, your scenario of 5,000 square feet would not meet the one duplex per lot, but
You could combine,
You're-
you could vacate the line, and if you had one lot, you could put a duplex on that. even
Yeah,
though-
as long as it's 8,000 square feet. Or we're going by this written thing, which would be 6,000 for an interior lot, 7,000 for a corner lot.
Correct.
Okay. But then that is the same as the single-family lot, essentially, because a single-family lot is 6,000 square feet. I'm not sure what, y'all still confuse me. I'm not sure what you're arguing, Mr. Cutler, because it is
'Cause we're put-
basically keeping the same lot for that.
because we're putting two families on the lot. We're not putting a single family, we're putting two duplexes on the lot.
Yeah, but what you're going to ultimately end up with is probably more green space by doing them together with the zero lot line. So, I mean, that's not much different than the cluster development versus a conventional development in our ordinance the way it's written. I think we're splitting hairs there. I mean, I guess I can sit down and do, I don't know.
I mean, I asked the question about why we're making the change, and I got an answer. The square footage of the lots has nothing to do with why we're making the change. So what is, there's some arithmetic to get to 4,000, 6,000 square feet, but that's the only justification. It doesn't make sense to approve two different ownership methods that are attached to two different lot sizes. That's not really logical to me.
So I see that. So in our zone, when you scroll down from the text that you wrote and go down into the actual ordinance where you've got the blue highlighted changes, do we really need a B? There's 2A, 2B, 2C. C is in blue. That would be page 3D4, Article 3D, page 4. Do we really need a B? Wouldn't we just have an A and a C, the way it's written? Why do we, is that your point? Why do we need a 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, the way it's written?
Yes.
So
Regardless of the ownership method, the lot size should be the same.
I mean, because to me, it just
Of one lot or
scrap
two
B.
lots.
I mean, what's the difference between B and C? If I come to you, I say, yeah, let's go with B. Why do we need a B? If we're going to change that square footage, why do we need a B on that?
Are you talking about 3B?
2B, minimum lot area, 2B. There's an A, conventional single-family lot. Are we on the same page?
So we're distinguishing between the one attached unit per lot and then the one duplex per lot. Again, we were bringing this back. This was recommended last month that we include both options. And so that's why we are providing both options.
I get that, and I guess I'm with Mr. Cutler on this. What difference does it make if they're attached or a duplex? Why aren't they the same? I get that. Why aren't they the same square footage? I get that. As long as they meet the setbacks for either one of those, because you're going to use an attached residential zoning ordinance to do one lot, and you're going to do, and then you're going to do what on the other lot? So when they come, if I come and apply to you and say, I want to put two units together and call it attached, what zoning ordinance are you going to use to tell me my setbacks and everything? And which one are you going to use if I do it as a duplex? Which zoning ordinance are you going to follow?
It depends on what zoning district you're in.
Well, this is in the downtown neighborhood residential.
Right,
So
but
that-
it's also for attached residential. It could be in either.
Again, the
And then
zoning
setbacks
ordinance
change.
jumped back and forth between, was it stating that it was one unit, meaning one side of the duplex, or was it one duplex unit in its entirety? And so in order to be clear, we need to decide either or. Last month, it was decided instead of either or, it was both. And so that's why we brought back
Right.
both options.
which is what I'm reading in your explanation, is that it was to clarify that duplex units are permitted on one parcel, which would be one duplex, for 2 units on a single parcel and/or 1 duplex for 2 subdivided lots. So it's the flexibility. And that, and I, in my memory, that's why it was brought back to us, to clarify.
Right, they didn't just pull this out of a hat. They were going
Right.
on guidance that they got the last meeting.
Yeah, I think the distinction is fine between 1 attached unit per lot and 1 duplex per lot, but my point is providing those ownership options is great. But if you're going to build a duplex on 2 lots or 1 lot, the sum of the square footage and the setbacks should be equivalent, should be the same.
I just want to clarify the setbacks would be the same for the duplex on either ownership option.
In that zoning district.
I'm looking at attached residential is what, it's on multiple pages, but
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that concerns me is if you make the 2-lot option the same as the 1-lot option, you end up with 2 very, very small lots. They're not the.
they're
One-
the same.
No, they're not, because you've got, let's say if it's 6,000 square feet on 1 lot, that means you have 2 3,000 square foot lots, which we don't have any 3,000 square foot lots.
That's my point. Okay, yeah, that's my point, was that they need to be equivalent, they need to be the same. The sum of the 2 lots needs to equal the volume or the area of the single lot.
So you want to make them, you want to require
Make them
more?
both 8,000 or make them both 6,000? I'm not debating the number,
Well,
but the lack of, the inconsistency.
okay, but what I'm saying is, if you make it 8,000, then you've just made it more difficult to build duplexes. Yeah, you did, because if you go to the 2-lot option and you allow 3,000 foot lots, we don't permit 3,000 square foot lots anywhere. So why would we start? Why would we let people create 3,000 square foot lots?
I'm not suggesting that we do.
Okay, so what you're saying is, okay, we're gonna make, if you wanna build a duplex, you gotta have a bigger lot than a single-family lot. Is that what you wanna do? Even though it may look exactly like a single-family structure.
Well, you're asking a much deeper question that I'm not prepared to answer.
Okay.
However, same as the argument that I made previously, is that you have the same house and you put them on 2 lots that are the same, but one split into 2, one split into 1, they have the same area.
They do, but they're 2 separate lots instead of 1 lot. And yes.
No doubt.
But you've just permitted the creation of 3,000 square foot lots, and I don't think you wanna open that door.
What I'm saying, I'm not focused on the lot size, I'm focused on the logic. We can talk about the lot size.
Okay.
If 6,000 square feet for a single-family home, and we want to have not 3,000 square feet, then 8,000 square feet would be appropriate. And as it currently sits, if you took the, you currently have to have 2 attached units to make 1 attached unit per lot, so it is 8,000 square feet. So if you went down to 3 Bravo 1 interior lot for 1 duplex per lot and changed it to 8,000 square feet, it will be fixed.
I don't understand anything you just said, so I don't know that.
This requires 8,000 square feet, right? Because you got to buy 2 lots. This should be the same, because it's only 1 lot. Because you have to buy 2 lots for the 1 attached unit per lot.
Correct.
So with that at 4,000 feet, if you set 3 Bravo 1 at 8,000 feet, they would then be the same.
So for clarification, it was not clear that the 4,000 square feet was intended for 1 unit or 1 duplex unit. And that is that's what we're trying to clarify here. So we went off of having the larger unit, which is the 4,000 square feet for the one unit that you would need 2 lots for the duplex. And that's why we kind of split the middle and went with 6,000, because it wasn't clear that the 2,000 wasn't really the intention behind it. We're not really sure, which is why we went with those numbers. Again, the cluster the cluster subdivision, the lot sizes are 8,000 square feet for those, which is again why we went with a little bit smaller for the lot size for the duplex units.
Let me make this.
I can make a motion.
Let me make this more money. What's the definition of a townhouse? Is townhouses 3 or more, or a townhouse 2? If you put 2 townhouses side by side, is that a duplex or is that a townhouse? Or is a townhouse 3, 4, 5, 6 units attached together? Because in the attached residential, if you have a townhouse, you can go down to 1,600 square feet. So how are we defining a townhouse? Is a townhouse really a triplex, not a duplex?
It is an attached residence located on an individually platted lot in which each dwelling unit shares a common wall, including with not limitation, wall of an attached garage or porch, which is at least one other dwelling unit, and which each dwelling unit has living space on the ground floor and a separate ground floor entrance. Which again, as we spoke earlier, it needs to be clarified. I'm just trying to do it baby steps at a time to try to not have a 2-page full agenda.
Yeah.
Too late. All right, clear as mud, everybody?
No. It is, yes, it's clear as mud.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we need to sit down and go through this again and come back with this. This is,
Okay.
we'll sit down and wrestle with it and see if we can come up with some logic behind all this. Because you ask good questions, but this is a really difficult place to answer it right now in this scenario.
Yeah. So we need a motion to table? All right, I make a motion to table
Second.
item number 18.
It's been a motion and a second, table item number 18, and we'll revisit it again. Ms. Clary, call for the question, please.
Mr. Yoko?
Yes.
Dr. Pope?
Yes.
Mr. Bryan?
Yes.
Mr. Cutler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Smith?
Yes.
And Chairwoman Hillegas?
Yes. Okay, can't wait to talk about this again. Excellent. Agenda item number 19, which I think is a record for us, is a discussion item about environmental study assessments. Ms. Clary.
Yes, I'm going to invite Jennifer England up to further this discussion for you. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer England. I'm the Alawite County Museum Director and the Historic Resources Manager for Alawite County. I knew I was 19, so I didn't make you pretty pictures today. But Ms. Clary invited me to talk about the importance of archaeological excavation and investigation, as well as cultural resource survey and study. So of course, archaeology provides us with the opportunity to learn about past cultures through studying artifacts, animal bones, sometimes human remains. It is a science, and it helps us to better understand where we came from, where we're headed, and how everyone who previously experienced life, moved throughout that life. As a reminder, of course, America was made in Virginia. Colonial settlement happened right here along the James River, and Isle-of-Wight County, as one of the original shires, is just as important of a location, of course, as Williamsburg, Yorktown, and Jamestown. I tell everybody that it's not just the historic triangle. Everything came across this side of the water. It's really more of a historic square. But we have a responsibility to protect, investigate, and interpret our history when it is available to us, whether that's through artifacts, documents, mapping, or the investigation of historic sites.
Excuse me, Ms. England, I'm getting a text. Folks at home can't hear you. If you could get closer to the microphone. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you. We have a responsibility to protect, investigate, and interpret our history when it is available to us, whether it is through artifacts, documents, mapping, investigation, or historic sites before they are impacted by change. So we need to do our due diligence, as it is our obligation to the public and to our future generations.
Technical difficulties, folks, please stand by. Swap out some batteries.
Gotta get lithium. Gotta get lithium batteries.
That sounds better already.
Testing, better?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. When development projects cross the desk of the county or the town, my department is asked for input as it relates to Isle of Wight County history. Sometimes these projects have reports and assessments included with them, and some do not. After identifying the area in question, I will, obviously sometimes we know about those particular areas. Often I will consult a system called VCRIS. This is the Virginia Cultural Resource Information System. It is the Virginia Department of Historic Resources Survey data management system. It contains information, types and locations of archaeological and architectural surveys, maps and previous studies that have been done in those areas. So if the mapping in VCRIS shows that there are areas of probability or significance, then a development project should plan for an analysis of the site and the surrounding area and or its viewshed. Not performing such a study is often considered a weakness in the application. There are a number of types of investigations. There's a cultural resource survey or a desktop analysis, and that's exactly what it sounds like. There are no test pits usually that are dug. It's just a research, usually just involving VCRIS, old maps, that kind of thing. A phase one is essentially an identification phase, and that helps to locate all the sites in the survey area to estimate the size of the site and to assess if anything further is needed. Phase two is evaluation, and that determines the formal boundaries of the site as well as its historical and vertical integrity, and determines whether or not that site is eligible for the National Register of Historic Places, and again, to determine if any further investigation is needed. Phase three is treatment, and a variety of measures. If something significant is found, a phase three can, you can decide what is necessary. You can avoid the site, you can do data recovery, meaning dig up what is there, or, find a historic preservation plan that will meet. But essentially, it's a case-by-case situation. What's typically in a report, I did bring, they're all various sizes. This is actually one from a solar panel study. It's a big one. But often it delineates the survey area, discuss the design of the project, how it's going to be evaluated, the historic context of the site, what's been there before, were there Virginia Indians on the site, were there, Civil War hospitals, that kind of thing. Takes us through the history of that site. There's a field survey with test pits, the results of that survey, and then often these things will include a recommendation or a conclusion situation. There are plenty of noteworthy examples in Isle of Wight County that have occurred even just during my tenure here. There are projects which come across our desks that don't require any further evaluation. Nothing is there, and those memos are written. Just as a few examples, there was a solar farm project within the past couple of years. They knew that there was a cemetery on the site, but they didn't know where it was. And so it was advised that they needed to find out where that was before they began their project. There was a recent project in Windsor that had both a collier pit and a cemetery, and those required avoidance. The collier pit, if I recall correctly, was actually was eligible for listing on the National Register. Lawns Point has been an ongoing issue for Isle of Wight County. The project carved up the property without regard to areas that needed avoidance. And so now, currently, a number of landowners find themselves in situations where if they wish to gain approval to build a structure or a site or a boathouse, they are needing now to pay for their own archaeology on their own property before they are granted approval to move forward with their construction. Because again, those sites were not divided up in accordance with where things should not be built. In 2011, there was a landowner who had to pay for a phase three data recovery because it was revealed that on that particular landowner's site was the site of the Lawns Creek Potters and Kneeling Oven. The Lawns Creek Potter was a 17th century itinerant potter, very well known, created very specialized kind of utilitarian ware here between Isle of Wight County and Surrey, also out on the eastern shore. And this was really a big deal because this marks one of the first early industries in Isle of Wight County. And so before that landowner could build the project that they wanted, they had to pay archaeology fees. And if the unfortunate thing was, because the way that land was carved up, only half of that annealing oven could be evaluated. The other half was actually on someone else's property. And had that site been divvied up properly to begin with, then that would have been avoided altogether. But incidentally, those artifacts were recovered and given to the Alawite County Museum. The ones that were there, of course, the rest of them are still in situ, so we will probably never get those. As you all know about Sweetgrass, that mixed-use development, the developer pursued a Phase 1 investigation for those approximately 50 acres, and the report identified 7 new archaeological sites and 7 new architectural and 19 archaeological sites. Research, actually, when this project came across, we thought for a long time that this is actually the site where one of Alawite County's early courthouses was. And indeed, the archaeological discovery revealed that there was a lot there. And so the Site 1 basically resulted in a Phase 2, and it was recommended that this site was eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. And in the end, the developer decided that they would completely change the layout of their site to avoid it altogether. There's now more green space there. Actually, we are getting the artifacts from this site on Thursday, so come visit. Also wanted to mention plowing. Alawite County has a long agricultural history. Many sites have been disturbed due to agricultural activity, but that does not eliminate the possibility for discovery. Sites, of course, are built on top of old sites, Seattle, Rome. Actually, the 1902 jail out at the Alawite County Courthouse is on top of the jail that was built in 1800. They took that down a number of years ago, and when that site was being removed away, underneath was the footprint of that first jail. But lots of reasons, building on top of things, it's cheaper, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times, records are not kept. In that light, Colonel Joseph Bridger's entire house and family plot, known as White Marsh, is a 17th century site. The entire footprint of the house was discovered below the plow zone. It was under the fields that had been cultivated for hundreds of years, and archaeologists are still doing that lab work. So who was he? He was the chief patron of St. Luke's Museum and Historic Church. And, big plantation, ties to Governor Barkley. So these things are out there. When we do research, hopefully we can discover whether or not these sites are important enough to warrant these types of studies. But usually when these memos are written and sent to our community and planning development departments, we always recommend that if artifacts are discovered, that they come to the museum for preservation and interpretation. An archaeological survey report from a developer shows good faith and ensures the impact of the project will preserve and interpret whatever resources are uncovered before construction begins, because once the site development begins, there's no further chance for discovery. Additionally, if something is discovered during development, such as a cemetery, then work has to stop completely, and that can result in long-term delay. But again, America was made in Virginia. We are right here in the thick of it. And that's one of the taglines of the VA 250, the commemoration that is happening right now to commemorate the American Revolution. You guys hopefully were able to visit the mobile museum that was at the museum back in May. But both the town and the county are a part of American history, and we have that responsibility to protect, investigate, and interpret what we do have. So whether that's through artifacts or documents or mapping, but we really have to do our due diligence because it is our obligation to the public and it is our obligation to our future generations. So this means requesting information for the study of sites when they're warranted, because if we don't do that, again, it is an irreversible situation. A lot of untapped resources here in all of Alawite County. There's no dedicated funding source to pay for an archaeologist, both with the county or the staff. Larger localities have that luxury. We do not. And have things changed over the years? Of course they have. Regulations have changed. What we know has changed. The ability for us to work with our community, our community development, planning and zoning departments has worked. But again, our future is dependent on all of us doing what we need to do and to the best of our ability. So I can answer questions if you have them.
I know each site is different.
Yeah, it is.
Ballpark, what are the costs for each phase of these studies?
It depends. It really does. Sometimes, large site, small site, there's all of that. If you're just going to go for a desktop because you think that really not much there is worthy, that's a terrible way to phrase it, but if it's just something that you would need documented, it will not nearly be as expensive as if, of course, the Sweetgrass situation.
What happens with the quality of the evaluator. You know, if you hire somebody who typically says this is not historical and it is, and you have
Yes.
somebody else who
Yeah, there
argues
is
that
that.
it is, and you've got this, and and you're paying, you know, I want you to say it's nothing there, and the next developer says.
And that does happen, and there are, you know, some firms that do that and some that do not. And so I think that a lot of times when that happens, you are kind of relying on the people who are evaluating those informational pieces to determine, and then doing also their own research to make sure that what has been said is.
Who's evaluating that? Y'all, as the museum?
Us, as well as Mrs. Clary.
I mean, because we get those reports and read them, and I have to believe them at face value. I don't know if there's anything more significant there or not.
A lot of times, you know, it's very, you know, very legit, but sometimes you just have to ask questions sometimes and do a little bit more research just to confirm if you have suspicions.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, one question. When property's been cultivated for many, like hundreds of years, you mentioned plowing, but how often in your experience does anything come to fruition? Because that's very invasive, and what's the likelihood of recovery of anything?
Well, White Marsh was huge. But you know, I mean, again, the odds are not good, but if you suspect that there is something there, you need to make that, you need to just make that effort to ask for some kind of, you know, a couple of test plots, couple of, you know, test pits to make sure
Isn't
that.
that like a needle in a haystack?
What's that?
I was just gonna say.
Isn't it like if you've got a 100-acre farm and somebody says there might be something there, and you just do some test pits, isn't that like finding a needle in a haystack?
Sometimes, but you know, if you've got you know, archaeologists, they know what they're looking at when it comes to soil. In addition to, again, the research that you found, you know, and the different types of soil. There was a site actually last week that we went out to Lawns Point to go evaluate, and actually the state archaeologist came down for it because there were some specialized questions. Took a look at it, you know, and just knowing what the soil was and where it was located, you know, it was rather easy for him to determine that, you know, that was not something that was going to warrant for further investigation.
Not that Lawns Point was a different animal because it was never disturbed. It was just completely wooded. Versus there's a lot of agricultural land, big fields that, you know, have been cultivated for hundreds of years.
Oh, sure. But again, you know, that was the White Marsh situation. And Lawns Point is still, you know, Civil War activity up there, logging activity. That was, you know, of course, all of Fort Huger was underneath, you know, all of that site. And that was, you know, I guess put forth as part of the project. And so that, of course, was given to the county, and the county interpreted that as an historic site, which is on the National Register as well. But we'd known about that. The county and historians had known about that site for a good number of years.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, Ms. England. We appreciate your expertise.
Absolutely. If you guys have questions
informative.
with the museum, come see me.
Thanks.
Item number 20.
Ms. Chairwoman, before we move on to number 20, if we're gonna speak at length here, can we take a restroom break?
Are you planning to speak at length?
I'm prepared to, but I'm prepared to table it to another meeting if you would like.
It's up to you.
What is number 20?
Density discussion.
I just don't feel like we ever resolved anything from the last meeting. We talked about it, kicked it around, never did anything. So I'm not sure what we're doing with it, where we're going with it. Are we not going with it? Are we coming up with some direction for staff? I'm not sure where we are with it. So that's back on the floor again to say, where are we with it?
That's a really big issue to stick on the end of a really long agenda.
All right.
It is.
Does it require a special meeting?
It ought to, I mean, if you, that's.
Do we need a work session?
I mean, that seems to make the most sense to me, but it's your meeting, and y'all can do what you want.
You do a work session. Can we do this duplex thing at the same time we do a work session?
I think that's a great idea.
Does that work for everybody?
It does.
Okay. Let's approach it that way then.
So do you need a motion for that?
No.
No?
No, it's just a discussion.
Okey-dokey.
Okay.
And then if we're going to do a work session, can we talk about home occupations and all while we're at the same thing, and why our ordinances aren't more a little consistent?
List grows.
We'll add it to the list, Dr. Pope.
Well, I mean, I think if there's some inconsistencies there, I think we need to
Well, we're
look
gonna
at
get
it.
together, you might as well hammer some stuff out, I agree.
I looked at that whenever I saw that was on the thing, I went through and I could only come up with the same rationale that was mentioned here, which is
Yeah.
when you're doing a home occupation in basically walled back to back and you're in a multifamily development, is that business going to affect the people on the other side of the wall?
Yeah.
When you're a single family, which again, home occupations is by right in all of the other zonings, it's only in the attached where it's not.
Yeah.
And it's a special use. So if we can look at the business and say, yep, it's not going to affect the neighbors, then we can approve it. It's just a shame that it's a $400
Yeah, I
fee
mean,
to go
yeah,
advertise that. to
make
do
that
it.
much money.
Well, but there may be
Yeah.
different types of home occupations that have different types of foot traffic
Oh,
and different
absolutely,
types of
sure.
vehicular
Yeah.
traffic as
That's
well.
correct. Right.
And so it still may not be fair to have it by right in a residential neighborhood, and the multifamily is the one that ferrets it out. So that's my point of discuss that further, to say, you know, we can't be specific on every single last one, but they, in my opinion, probably need to be looked at separately. And that's what we probably need to discuss, to say what's an appropriate, which ones that come up to say, hey, we don't have any foot traffic, who cares, approve it, and then which ones are gonna say, gosh, we got 20 cars coming by the house every hour.
Yeah. Okay.
I think if we're going to have a work session and do that, it would behoove us all as well to read the school report from the chairman, the Teisler-Bish summary that was put out by the county, and the survey results that was put out by the county, because those all factor into what the citizens want to see and what the problems in the county and town are, and how we contribute to those. So I would recommend those 3 readings.
Thank you, Mr. Cutler. Next item is approval of the May 13, 2025 minutes.
I recommend approval as presented, Madam Chairman.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Who was second? Thank you. All right, is there a motion and second to approve the May minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry.
I said aye.
Okay.
But I have a-
Thanks for the little wave there.
Yeah. I'm just trying to catch you before you gavel.
Okay. Yes, sir.
If I may make a quick comment before we adjourn. We don't allow citizens to be rambunctious or speak out of turn in the meetings, so I think it's incumbent that we maintain our professionalism as commissioners and avoid snarky comments during votes or questions of members that are here to discuss issues with the commission. Thank you.
Duly noted. Anything else before we adjourn? We are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time and attention.